You're tuned in to the Super Aussie Rugby Podcast.
Hello and welcome to another instalment of the Super Aussie Rugby Podcast, proudly powered by Intrust Super. Shout out to Brendan Farrell and the boys at Intrust. Welcome back on board.
It's great to have him back, isn't it, Ken?
Oh, mate, some of the greats. So I'm sitting here now with Mr. Peter Perfume Playford, former Brumby winger. Mate, this is our first live Facebook feed. I'm not great on the technology, but pretty excited for it, mate.
Yeah, very excited because I love being in front of the camera and it's doing justice for me, but not you.
Yeah, mate, I didn't want to say anything, but with Silky, our producer, here as a witness, you've asked about camera angles 5 times. Should I have my jumper on or off? Mate, very fitting you work in the perfume industry. We're also about to be joined online. Is Shep with us yet, Silky? Yep, we have former Wallaby and Force fullback, Mr. Cameron Shepherd. Shep, welcome, buddy.
Hello, boys. Very upset I'm not there because I also like my time in front of the camera. So
Yes.
disappointing to only be by call-in. But look, happy to be involved. It's been an exciting week in Australian rugby and, always great to have Brendan O'Farrell and Intrust back involved with it as well. So great stuff.
Good stuff, mate. Well, we are missing you. We're sitting here with a couple cold ones getting settled in. But let's rip right into it. First up, we have just had the Wallaby squad announcement made. Boys, what are your first impressions of Cheika's squad?
Yeah, look, I like what they've done, especially in the forwards. You know, a really strong and young front row with Seo and Robertson and Alatoa, and the welcoming back of Smith. In the second rowers, I like what they've done. I think Carter's been rewarded for some strong form. Tui, he shows a bit of mongrel and certainly isn't the mongrel that Robbie Simmons shows when he slaps you in the face. But he shows a bit more of that aggression that we need, and leaving out some of the older ducks like Fardy, Mum, and all that. I think he's got a good balance in the forwards.
Yep, good. How about yourself, Shep?
Yeah, look, I'm half and half on it a little bit. I think a few guys have been picked on poor form and maybe just for their previous reputations. But agree with Pete. I think the involvement of Lucan Tui there, he's definitely been a standout and a young guy being rewarded for his effort. I thought
You're a big fan of him throughout the NRC?
Mate, yeah, look, he's been fantastic. I think that up there with Nai Sarani, who's over at the Force, I think they'll probably be 2 guys to watch in the future. And look, they've definitely got some talent. A little bit confused about the inclusion of Jack Dempsey. Not that I don't think he's going to be a great player in the future, but he hasn't played a huge amount of rugby this year, and I still think he needs a bit of polish at the Super Rugby level before he can make an impact with the Wallaby squad. And look, personally, I know he's the captain of the side, but I've still got major question marks around Stephen Moore. No one can doubt his experience, but he has not been in good form for the Wallabies this year, and I just hope he wasn't picked because he's the incumbent captain of the side.
Can you give us a heads up who you may have had over him?
Look, I'll take anyone at the moment. Look, the Tarpon Pilota now is playing some good footy, so I know he is in the squad. Look, it is a tricky one. But we're blooding players in other positions, and we've got some experience there already in the squad, so I don't see why some others couldn't have been included. It's just I just don't like guys getting picked when they're out of form, and I think that sends a bad message also to the guys that are in form and haven't been picked.
Mate, let's talk about the specialty that we know, outside backs. Now, I don't love it, to be totally honest. I think that there's, they've got a bit of a Fijian and Islander flavour there, which is great. But some untried. I don't think Korobetti deserved his chance. I think they talked him up and made him better than what he was. Naivalu has been playing all right. Spate's probably lifted his game, but I don't think they're around the international level we need. Your thoughts on that?
Sorry, boys. I think I just lost you a bit there. Can you repeat the question?
Did you get my Korobetti?
He was just saying that Korobetti sucks. How do you feel about that? Basically, that's what he wants.
Yeah, look, I'm going to go with no comment on this one this week. You talk about people that aren't in form. I know he scored a couple of tries last week, but I think that's ARU justification for the amount of money he's getting paid and nothing else.
On the other hand, you've got a dramatic point-scoring machine, an all-round freak in Dane Haylett-Petty. Pete, how did you feel about that?
Mate, I'll comment. Look, I think his hamstring's back on the bone, or is it something? Look, I don't think he's. I think the backs we've got, the one I like is probably Carmichael Hunt and Spade are having a go. I think the rest are poor man's version of what they're trying to achieve. So, but in saying that, I didn't get to those heights. So I'm only sitting here with a beer in hand, probably largely overweight.
How do you think I feel sitting here, mate?
Well, boys, I completely disagree. I'm so happy to see Dane Haylett-Petty in there. I think he'd be an absolute standout if they play him in the right position this year.
What's that? Off the bench?
Very upset not to see my boy Jake Gordon in there. I don't see how you can take Powell over Jake Gordon. I know Powell's been playing some decent footy, but if you look at them in stature, Gordon wins. I'd say performance on the field, Gordon wins, and potential, Gordon wins. I don't know what hemisphere you're living in if you're picking Joe Powell over Jake Gordon at the moment.
All three of us have spoken about Gordon and all thought he should have been there at least in a backup form of some way. Mate, for the record, I am with you on Dane Haylett-Petty. This goes back a while with Pete and I. I called him as a bolter in the Wallaby squad long ago and got bagged. So I'm just going to milk it for every penny. Now, boys, a quick question. Yeah, go ahead, mate.
One thing, I guess, the inclusion of Quade Cooper. Now, you can't lead one of the most talented Red sides over the last couple of years, since they've won at last, to 3 from 40 wins and be the second choice fly half. That's a huge mistake. They should have blooded someone young. I don't know the fitness of Jono Lance, but he should have definitely been in there. But they shouldn't have had Cooper rolling around in the Wallaby squad now. He's had too many chances, and Einstein said it. What did he say, Kent?
If you do the same thing again and expect different results, that's his definition of insanity.
And I just think it's not. He's got some newness in there, but I think what Cooper's there, I don't think he deserves it.
Yeah, I think I'd be curious to hear how you feel about Jono Lance as a Western Force man and the NRC. He's been playing some great footy.
He has, and he's been pretty consistent over the last 12 months. And I think, no offence to some of the players at the Force, but he definitely hasn't had the cattle outside him. And when your pack's going backwards and you still stand out, I think that shows the class. At Wallaby level, a better pack, a better bunch of backs outside him, I think he would rise to the next level. My concern about Quade is I think he's one of the greatest attacking rugby players that Australia's ever seen. I truly believe that. I know he's had his moments. I think pressure in the big games definitely gets to him. But my major concern with all that being said is that you've got Foley, who is so consistent and predictable and gives you that same effort every time he goes out. And then if he's not playing and you bring Quade in, it completely changes the dynamic of the whole team. So how are you meant to prepare as a squad when you've got 2 10s that are so drastically different, and then you expect 14 other players around them to understand their games? They've got to learn almost 2 different game plans, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and Jono Lance would have been a much better fit. But that's what they've picked. They've tried some new things. They've brought some new injection in of some youngsters. I think Hardwick is someone that came off a really strong NRC. He's got that. He seems a bit different. He seems very Zimbabwean or from the African continent, where they're very dedicated, and hopefully he gets a run, because in that back row there's not really many people that are hard on the ball. So hopefully...
Fantastic work rate. And as you said, Petty, he was actually the NRC player of the series. So, they won the competition. He was player of the series, and he's been pretty good for the Force this year as well. So I agree. I think it's a smart inclusion in the squad.
Yeah, Check has mentioned how much he admires Hardwick and his efforts before. Interesting to see Higginbotham back. I noticed a couple of seasons ago, it seemed like Higginbotham got his first chance in the opening. Bledisloe didn't play well. Checker hasn't looked at him since, and now he's in there. Been having great form. What are your thoughts on him?
Oh, I think he's just gone for a bit of a balance, but it looks like on the back of him getting selected there that he'll be in the starting team, because Checker did make a comment that the reason why Fardy didn't get picked in this squad was that he wasn't in line for starting. So he wanted to give some of the youngsters a go, and I think that's where Dempsey kind of sits in that realm. They took him away on the spring tour. They probably saw a lot of potential in him. they bring him back now to give him another taste at it and hopefully roll him out towards the back end of the year because, again, we need to build for the World Cup in 2019. But, they look like, I don't mind it, except for the outside backs, but we can be critical of that because I'm never going to lace the boots up again and I can tell them how bad they are.
I'm glad you came back to that because I've spoken about this a lot and I think it's been one of the biggest issues in Australian rugby is our counter-attack ability, but not just running with the ball, kicking the ball. Now, you look at those outside backs that have been picked. I truly believe Dane Haylett-Petty's the only person in that group that knows how to kick a rugby ball.
Mate, two played AFL and got paid millions, and that's all they do.
He's terrible. He's worse. He's a worse kicker than he was when he was playing league. He's terrible, and he doesn't know where to kick, which is
wait, are we talking
Then you got the
Corey
bully. Corey mate.
Tell us about him, mate. Tell us about him.
And then you look at the rest. Carmichael Hunt, he's not a good kicker. He runs the ball. So in that squad, if for whatever reason, and he is coming back from injury, Dane Haylett-Petty can't play, you watch us get peppered down in our own half. And if you can't kick the ball out of your own half and relieve pressure, especially against South Africa and the All Blacks, you're going to get throttled and you're going to get killed. It is, in my mind, a crazy outside back selection.
Yeah, and that's why I think that Godwin should still sit at 13, mate. He'll at least give him some direction out there and hopefully, all they got to do is run and just give it to them. It's going to be one of those new plays where they run across field and put it in their arms and just say run.
Chuck it in. They're not going to be much on the kicking front. In terms of predictability as well, when there's no strong kickers there, I mean, already that Checker plays a really strong running game and defences react accordingly. But now they know that there's no kickers out the back. It's going to be pretty predictable, isn't it?
Yeah, look, he's picked him for a reason. He wants try scorers, and Corey Betty scored 3 tries, so he gets a chance. And the other guys, look, Spates had his best season in a long time, and he's really having a crack. But it'd be interesting to see what they go with round one against. Is it Scotland? Scotland first game. I thought Scotland had sent their national team to the under-20s comp.
Mate,
to try and get a bit competitive.
Mate, Scotland are pretty good at the moment.
Yeah, pretty good, mate.
They're actually Six Nations. There, and you look at the last World Cup.
Six Nations, they're fourth. Mate, you never want to be known as someone that's pretty good. Fantastic.
They had one up against England where they got flogged, but otherwise they were probably,
Mate, they've been
one
looking
of the
good
teams in the Six Nations in 2016. Definitely, they're going to be a tough side to beat.
To be fair to Pete, they're probably good by traditional Scottish standards, which is great. But
hey, my mum's Scottish. Be careful, boys.
But we will have at least the advantage in terms of eyeballs at the games that they will be sending out a competitive side, if only for the fact that only 2 Scottish players made the British and Irish Lions. Yeah. So we will have the bulk of the squad there.
Mate, talking about Scottish, I hear that Dan Parks, who's a good mate of mine, is going to do the first kickoff for the game Australia versus Scotland. Dan holds the record for the most amount of kickoffs in world rugby.
Is that right?
So they're bringing out, they're bringing him out to do like a congratulations and make it all official.
Yeah, make a big scene of it. That's
so
awesome.
Congratulations, Dan.
So is that from being on the end of a few hidings? Are we assuming?
Oh, look, mate, you can do the math there.
Yeah, nice. All right,
yeah,
all right.
It worked out.
So, look, to wrap it up on our Wallaby selection talk, if I can ask you guys just finally, how formidable are this team, this squad? How does it look like we're going to be able to perform on the pitch?
Shep, to you?
I'm not unhappy with the forward pack. I think the set piece will be good. Rory Arnold and sorry boys, I'm just having a mental blank about the
Adam Coleman.
Adam Coleman, apologies. Look, they're fantastic. I think after 1 year of Test match footy, they're going to be great this year. So I think our line-out will be strong. Higginbotham adds a lot to that. And look, you've got to give him all the respect of saying he's a great thrower. He's been doing it his whole career. I'm concerned about the backs. If we lose Foley again, I think that'll derail the whole program. And I'm really, really concerned about our back 3. I think, look, there's no doubt that we've got some finishers and we've got some great attacking players. But if what I think would happen, and you'd probably be a very bad coach if you didn't want to do this to us, we're going to get a lot of balls rolling in behind our back 3. And with our quality kicking game, you're going to find yourself playing a lot of footy in your own 22.
Thoughts, Pete?
Yeah, look, if I look past the result and say what's a good thing to achieve out of this for Australian rugby, if they can roll out a back row of say Hooper, Hannigan, and Tamani, roll out say Coleman and Tui, and give Latu a go. Start Robertson, give Genia a go with Foley, roll out Hodge and Godwin as a chance with a bit of Karevi, and give some of the the back three we're not even going to talk about, but. There's nothing there to be excited about Australian rugby, but they've really got to attack this. This is the chance to save Australian rugby in a sense. If they roll through these 3 tests with limited success, and then God forbid, right? But if they can go out there and show a little bit, and the guys, I hope Hardwick gets a go as well because I really like their energy. But mate, you can't go wrong when you pick 4 or 5 country eagles.
There you go, mate. There you go. And I tell you, I think Shep, you hit on it as well. I really think we can't underestimate that Coleman and Arnold combination. We've been lacking good, strong second rowers for a long time who can intimidate and really muscle up.
What about Simmons at Pelicano? Didn't.
I'll be leaving that right there.
Oh, yes.
Very good, very good. Now, moving on. Are we, mate, I'm going to ask our producer. I'm not used to this with the new Facebook Live setup.
Yeah.
Are we still doing breaks? We are.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to take a little break so we can get our shit together, and we'll be back with you. You're on Intrust Super, powered by Intrust.
Cheers.
Welcome back to Super Aussie Rugby, not Intrust Super, my apologies. Super Aussie Rugby, powered by Intrust Super. God, they're getting a good plug tonight. Now, listen, we've been keen to talk for a little while now about country rugby, and our very own Cam Shepherd has recently just commentated a game in the Shoot Shield out at Orange, I believe, Shep, between East and...
Gordon.
Yeah. Have we got Shep with us? Is he still on the line? Can't hear him. Shep, you with us? No, he's gone. Okay, he's gone. All right. Well, we've got about half the conversation now, but obviously a great initiative was moving the Shoot Shield Rugby Gordon and East out to Orange, and by all reports, a really fantastic day. And we've spoken to Shep about it, Dieter, but also having yourself here, Pete, as a member of the New South Wales Country Eagles, your role in the group?
Former last year.
Yeah.
No,
so you had exposure to that, and I was just curious to hear a little about that scene.
Look, the country people love the rugby, and I think it's an area where Australian rugby, New South Wales rugby should really ramp up. With the loss of Country Rugby League as a city country game, there's a chance to take more games out there, and I think they should look at taking a Super Rugby game out there as a proper game. New Zealanders do it quite well because they thrive on the rugby. My only thing that I'm not liking about this whole Shoot Shield, make club rugby great again, right, is that it's almost operating on its own little agenda. And when I saw Nick Fordham and his counterpart in the paper saying these two are saving club rugby, it's absolutely bullshit. They're not saving club rugby. All the volunteers and the assistants and the people in country rugby, they're saving club rugby, because without those guys, there'd be no one playing rugby. So this level here with Nick Fordham coming out and doing all this stuff, sure, he's doing a good thing, but the ABC did it just as well, if not better. But it just comes down to a bit of a hidden agenda. I think it just highlights what's wrong with rugby at the moment, because in all honesty, club rugby shouldn't be making it great again. The Wallabies should be the beacon. Super Rugby should be that one that's flying the flag. NRC should be very close on the clacker of that. And club rugby should be still elevating, but it shouldn't be the one that everyone's talking about and getting double page spreads and out-of-home media and all that kind of stuff, because it's really presenting to the consumer a wrong message. And
so you're saying it should be about more than that, and it in fact is about more than that, and it just needs to be portrayed accordingly. Yeah,
look, I think what they're doing is great, but they're all talking. It's like that they come out and say a state of origin, and then Shoot Shield says we can do that. It's like they're a super league within a rugby union, and it's led from the top, and I wouldn't do that role, because if someone asked me, would you ever head up the Australian rugby? Absolutely not. I reckon the next person that does it has to be mid to late 50s. Their kids have got to be over 18. They have to have played the game, and hopefully at a level that allows them to understand grassroots, Super Rugby and Wallabies. And I think for them to really understand it, they need to make sure they need to invest a lot of time in it. All this repairing relationships around the world is absolute bullshit. If you present a good product to the consumer, people will take notice. And I think we've just got all our areas wrong. So from the question around is country rugby it's a strong point in Australian rugby, and more games should go out there, and more games should be broadcast from there, and they should get more of the volunteers around the game. But I was just a bit off when I saw two guys saying these two men are saving Australian rugby. So
and from a country point of view, you would have spoken to a lot of these blokes in your travels out there with the Country Eagles. How neglected are they? How neglected are they feeling?
Do you know what? There's a lot of money out there. There's a lot of money, and what you got to do is milk some cows, rub some kangaroos, and they'll give you the money. They just want to feel loved.
Yeah.
They still rock up in the mornings. They still put up the goalpost pads. They still mark the fields. There's a lot of energy out there, right? It's one of those purest forms that they go. When you look at crowds, they used to always travel down and watch it for the afternoon tests. So hopefully they've got the packages out there for these afternoon tests. Hopefully they're getting the country guys to come down and watch these games, because if you're looking strategically at where we can go, sure, you've got grassroots, you've also got the country grassroots. And that's an area where, there's good money out in the country, and they shouldn't forget it.
Yep. Well said. Now, mate, have we got Shep back on, or we've lost him? He's gone. By the way, Shep's taking care of the kids tonight. Yeah. The only parents I know who said I'm babysitting, when it's like, well, mate, they're your kids. They're not babysitting. God, yeah.
Mate, and lucky he's not here, because there's a bit of tension last week between.
Oh no! Why do you think the baggings are coming thick and fast? I can't. You're probably copying more than him, but either way. So, mate, very interesting there on club on country rugby and a little on club rugby. We're just going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about the Super Rugby, last weekend's games, and our predictions for next week's games, and a little competition we're looking at launching on here that'll lead to some more embarrassment of our hosts. You're on Super Aussie Rugby, powered by Intrust. Super. Welcome back. You are on Super Aussie Rugby. God, we're having some teething problems with this first Facebook Live thing.
Mate,
but
drink your beer as well.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
Mate, I'm the one bloody playing 5'8" here. I'm trying to throw balls and I'm failing miserably. So, probably best I ease up. Now, in the meantime, what are your thoughts on the weekend's games? Let's focus particularly on, there are a couple of interesting results, such as the Chiefs and the Chiefs and the Blues having their first draw in the history of the comp. But I think we're really here to talk about the Aussie teams. What were your thoughts?
We'll go to
start with the Reds and Force.
The Reds and the Force. I think that was a chance for the Reds to really show what they've got, and the Force came out and outmuscled them at every single element. Yep. And I reckon there's some coaching issues up there. I reckon that the way he's going about things, I don't think he's got the players. Shep and I have spoken about it before, but the way he come out and give him stuff and give it to him and say this, that, and the other. Certain things work, certain things don't.
Give it to him, as in give him a spraying publicly?
Yeah, give him a spray, yeah. And I just don't think... I think they've got a squad that should be better than what they are, led around by a 10 who gets selected. So, look, you just reward mediocrity, in my opinion. We should be much more ruthless than that. If a 10, like Aaron Cruden was leading around the Chiefs, and they were 3 wins from 9, would he get picked in an All Black squad?
No, that's the difference, isn't it?
So you talk about depth, mate. There's people there that can play.
It's funny. So. I think as well, you look at it when Styles came in, he took over from Richard Graham. So when he had a few wins, which often happens, when there's a disenchanted team, they get a bit of wind in their sail when there's a change in coach. But they've come off a pretty low base with Richard Graham. I don't think it necessarily translates to great coaching, does it?
No, and look, he did really well in the NRC, but that also shows the gap between NRC and Super Rugby. And
we're seeing that a lot.
Yeah, and so it just shows you more that we've got to back it, and we've got to keep investing in it, because there is a problem, And so the Force came out, and don't take anything away from the Force. They played with a lot of heart, and they showed a lot. Peter Grant, who the stalwart, 100+ Super Rugby games, so many tests for South Africa. He's been absent there for the last 2 years, and he really stood up, directed them around.
He's really blossomed, hasn't he? Of late. But I agree with you totally. I mean, we can say, look, the Reds should be doing more, and they should. But the Force, in terms of the heart that they've shown, playing above their skill level, to be, one of the best teams in an admittedly poor Australian comp at the moment, but nonetheless punching above their weight and playing through passion, but particularly under the circumstances.
Yeah, they've just got to get consistency, which happens with a young team. But if I was Vessels and I was running that team, or Wessels, I'd be happy that over the next couple of years you could develop something pretty strong on the back of some of those players. You got guys like Matty Phillip, who's improving on the back of the Sydney Stars, God rest their soul. And there's a lot of energy over there that, but now, are they going to go? It gets us back to that whole who's going to go, and the Force definitely don't deserve to go based on their energy, their enthusiasm, and their ability.
Agreed. Before we go on to the next Aussie team, speaking of very sad days and these blessing yourself ones, Sunwolves, our little mates, copped a belting from the Cheetahs. Just heartbreaking stuff.
And they've been pretty consistent all year. Like, they've challenged some teams, but again,
that's what I love about them.
Yeah, and that's the thing. But the consistency at this level, is good. If they're getting bashed every week, you'd see no sense. But Japan are going to be a powerhouse of rugby. They've got the money, they've got the commitment, and I think keep them in the comp and over the course of time, I think Japan will become a really close ally of Australian rugby.
Yep, great to hear. Now, Highlanders, Tars getting done at 44-28 over there in Dunedin. What are your thoughts on that one, mate? A better showing, but just not enough.
Oh, they just can't string 80 minutes of football together. And you can sit there and say if they could, but rugby's been 80 minutes forever and a day, right? So you can't use that as an excuse. Are they fit enough? Are they mentally prepared enough? The Tars are my team, but they need to review. Go back to the drawing board and see what they can do. But trying to do that against Kiwi teams, it's a tough one. I think the Tars are the team that would probably challenge the finals the most, because if they do get there, then they've got the best team. But they should have beaten a few teams along the way. But coming up against the Highlanders and the Chiefs next week,
and it just seems that they've got the same few blokes that they're relying on and performing on as well. Like every game, Hooper and Foley, they can only do so much. They're doing everything they can, and Latu's having his moments, but they're just getting let down in other areas.
Just little moments, and I think it's from overall they're playing all right in patches, but it's that consistency, and the Kiwis. It's whether the Kiwis are jumping ahead that much that they've nailed that consistency, or that they're taking advantage of those opportunities. But look, I think
both really.
I think we root for the Tars this week, and hopefully they can put it together and they can challenge the Brumbies and roll into the finals. Because as you said, once you get to the finals, points are irrelevant, and it's anyone's game.
When did we start using the expression "root for the Tars" in Australian language? Oh, very odd. Anyway,
is it?
You can root for the Tars if you want. Good luck to you. The moving on to the Rebels and the Rebels and
Shep, you're going to protect me here? You save me?
Yeah, no, Shep. He's not here to rescue this time. Rebels versus the Crusaders, thumping that was surely predicted.
Man, I didn't watch it. I had to do a bit of washing, so I didn't get a chance to watch it.
Fair enough, mate. You didn't miss out on too much. But I did notice before, you were saying you think the Tars are going to be the team, would be our most likely chance to go on with it. The Brumbies might feel hard done by that, particularly after they've just had 2 wins on the road and 2 continents. What are your thoughts?
Look, I think you're not trying to beat the 2 teams you've beaten, the Kings and the Jaguars, but I think I'm looking at finals and I'm saying who you're going to come up against in the finals. I just don't think the Brumbies have got that manpower to consistently compete at the top level. You know, so the Waratahs would roll into that with the names they've got. If they click, they can challenge them.
You're better off hoping they're there and they'll fire rather than...
But the Brumbies have got this culture. They've got this fight, and I watched that game against the Jaguares, and they played incredibly well. Tom Banks running straight. They've got their mix right.
Hasn't Tom Banks come on? I'm pleased to see them go with someone like Banks there and shift Tua across. You look at someone like Aiden Tua. He's been okay. He's done all right, but he really hasn't grabbed the jersey. And someone like Tom Banks, he's been given 2 games and he's been playing out of his skin.
He's done really well. And if he continues like that, from the outside back point of view, we need people that can score tries, and he's doing that really well. and a bit of direction, and he can kick. So
Yeah, can kick. Serious toe.
yeah, and I think they're great. I think the 10's done well.
Yeah.
I think he's really he's giving him some direction. He's dancy, Powell. We can comment on I'm one of Jakey Gordon's biggest fans, but we have to work harder to get there. Powell gets another shot.
Yep. And has been playing well, Powell.
Look, they're on top of the table.
Yep.
So look, and they've got who else have they got in that team? Kuandrani, who's solid.
Yep.
So interesting to see what they roll with on out of Hodge, Godwin, Karevi, and Kuandrani. There could be a lot of Fijians in that Fijian team.
Yes. So look like a sevens team running around out there. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be back to preview our next week's fixtures with our tips. I don't know if we'll get Shep back. I think the kids have got him in a headlock. So you're on Super Aussie Rugby, powered by Intrust Super. And you're back on Intrust Super. Now, before we get into our predictions for this week's round, I don't even think Shep knows about this yet, but Playford and I have decided upon it. We get quite competitive in our tipping competition. Now, what we're going to be doing as of next week, so you listen in intently with these tips. Between the three of us, whoever wins the tipping comp, we'll obviously have one person who wins, one person who loses, and someone in between. The winner gets the phone and Facebook account of the loser and gets to post whatever it is they feel, and it has to stay there for 2 hours. So, look, I've traditionally been winning this comp, and now that there's something on the line, I've got no doubt I'll start losing every week. We're going to have to get Shep to post his in, and we'll put them up on the Facebook page. Is that all right, Silky? Good as gold. All right, so first up, we are looking at the Blues versus the Reds in Auckland.
Oh, the old colour game. I love this colour game.
Yes.
One of the
very
fiercest
imaginative
games.
names.
The fiercest game on the calendar when the two logos come out and wrestle.
And particularly
they make purple.
Yeah, and they wear alternate jerseys, and neither of them are wearing blue or red.
Yeah.
That happens a bit too.
Where are they playing?
Auckland.
I'm going to go Reds.
God, that's tough. I'm going to go Blues.
Okay.
I'm going to go Blues. All right, Crusaders, Highlanders.
I'm going to go Highlanders.
Interesting. I'm going Crusaders. This is good. This is going to split the pack.
Yeah.
And we're not, mate, Shep's not allowed to hear these before he sends his in, by the way. It's not like he listens to the show anyway. All right.
And he's got MySpace as well. He hasn't got Facebook.
Chiefs versus Waratahs, 3 p.m. in Waikato.
I'm going to go Waratahs.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Good. Chiefs.
Okay.
Chiefs. Okay. I'm mentally preparing my status update for you as we speak. I've got it all set out.
I challenge the norm at every occurrence.
I'm thinking something racist or sexist or something like that. Just anyway.
That'll be normal.
Yeah, for you, come out here. Okay. Brumbies versus Rebels in Canberra.
Brumbies.
Yes, it's odd that we agree, but Brumbies it is. Force versus Hurricanes in Perth.
Hurricanes.
Yeah. I'm tempted to go with Smokey with the Forcey, but I can't. Hurricanes. And that's it. That's it. Where are all the...
Because it's a split round.
Yeah. Good as gold. All right. Any final thoughts? Any shout outs? Any baggings of Shep while he's not here?
Oh no! I just think that it's we're entering into a really pivotal part of Australian rugby.
This show.
Yeah, this show as well. Yeah, but it's really important that we have a really good June series for Australian rugby purposes, and they finally put to bed this whole 4 teams. It's been really poorly handled, but I'm one of 6 million people to say it's been poorly handled. There's reasons why it got legal, but you can prevent all that, and it's your solution. So hopefully common sense prevails and they announce something soon and they look after the players, their families, their friends, and Australian rugby can look at this moment as an area that we had to have. Yep. And we grow and we hopefully win a World Cup 2019. That's all we can look at.
Well said, my man. Amen to that. And what a great way to finish off the show. And in the meantime, thanks to everyone joining Perfume Pete Playford and I. We'll see you next week on Super Aussie Rugby.